Live on the USAC National Facebook page as cars make their way out to the speedway here. Already having Chase Stockin on track, turned a couple laps, testing out the racing surface. Now we'll get a handful of drivers out here to check out this 3/8 mile oval. It is the first time that the Western World has made its way to the Central Arizona Raceway, and it is bigger than it has ever been. Over $100,000 up for grabs this weekend. The champion of this event walks away with $35,000 on Saturday, not to mention lap money for the first, second, and third positions. $7,500 to win tomorrow in preliminary competition. Of course, AME Electrical, Apache Transport, JUCO Superfuse, all part of the contributing partners to help to make this event bigger and better than ever. Bill, if you are in charge of that speed board down there, we need you down there to adjust. Again, Bill, we need you down to the speed board to adjust. So talking about it before we went live on Facebook, there is a radar board down there in turn number 1 that you'll normally see in construction zones, letting you know that you're going just a little bit too quick. And the fastest trap speed, we're being told, during this hot lap session throughout the night, going to get an extra $1,000. So definitely something you want to keep your eye on. Chase Stockin was already on track. I mentioned earlier, 16.718 seconds was the quickest lap time for him. The track's still coming in here as we'll let the drivers roll around. Roll some of the crumbs in as well as get some heat beneath the bonnet. Coming into the weekend, playing on house money, we're talking about Kyle Cummins out of Princeton, Indiana, the Avant Door Stanton Mach 1 chassis number 3P. He is out onto the speedway in that Jerry Petty-owned machine. A couple of drivers out onto the speedway. Wayne Seidel out of Tucson, Arizona, the Arizona Affordable Diesel Tech Gertie-powered Maxim chassis 007. Also out to the speedway, the 2X Joshua Shipley out of Surprise, Arizona, the Speedworks, Speed Stick Shocks, the Race Shack. Game Day Men's Health Blood Lubricants 2X. Also out on the speedway, he makes his way towards turns 3 and 4. He made a Silver Crown debut earlier this year. Now he's making his USAC Amsoil Sprint Car National Tour debut. He's out of Chandler, Arizona. Coming in with 24 combined wins on the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, Dirt Car Late Models, IMC Modified Stock Cars, even to Micros. Ricky Thornton Jr., the Avant Windows and Doors Apache Transport Stanton Sherman Race Cars number 20 RT. Stockin staying out on the speedway to get a few more laps here. Dason Pursley also on track in the Avant Windows and Doors. CB Industries, PristineAuction.com, NOS Energy, Spike chassis number 86 as we go to green in this second flight of hot laps. Getting a look at Dason Pursley, who put an absolute show on during the Four Crown Nationals at Eldora Speedway, bringing the Avant Windows and Doors CB Industries number 86 on to turns 1 and 2. 8 overall wins on the season. Got the sweep of the Four Crown in USAC competition. He's the 2023 Western World Champion with a weekend sweep. His last outing with the High Limit Series, October 17th and 18th. 5th and a 20th place finish. That was down at the dirt track of the Texas Motor Speedway. Stockin on screen right now. Of course, coming to us out of Fort Branch, Indiana, the 2017 champion in this event. The Tom and Lori Sertich. S&C Machine, Loose Racing number 92. Kyle Cummins up to the top of the boards here at 15.977. Stockin had been quickest at a 16-second lap at 16.182. Right now, his quickest lap. Dason Pursley, a 16.411. Ricky Thornton Jr., a 16.617. And Joshua Shipley, fifth quick right now at a 17.564. Cummins faster still, 15.922 for the driver of the number 3P. So Kyle Cummins, 15.922, the quickest lap for the drivers who were just on track. Again, Avante Windows and Doors, Buffalo Wild Wings, Apache Transport, AME Electrical, Juco Superfoods, Busch Light, all proud supporters of this year's running of the Western World. Friday and Saturday, the pits open at 2. The front gate opens at 3. We'll have hot laps at 5 and racing at 6 o'clock. Don't forget, following the practice here tonight, we'll have a party in the pits. You're invited to go down and join in the festivities. Hayden Reinbold in the AME Electrical number 19 has made his way out to the Speedway, as well as Mitchell Moles in the Reinbold Underwood Motorsports number 19 AZ. A.J. Bender in the number 21 has also made his way out to the racing surface. Braden Shitamonte in the 73B and Kobe Simpson in the 21K. Sabin Bybant also on track at Cincinnati, Ohio, the Epoxy Systems International number 98. Getting a look at Mitchell Moles here on the front straightaway. That AME Electrical, Passaic Valley Transportation, Stanton Spike, number 19, AZ. Couple of wins on the season. First one during Indiana Midweek at Kokomo, and then going to victory lane with the USAC Amsoil Smirker National Championship back in September at Paragon. 47 feature starts of the season. 1 win, 22 top 5s, 39 top 10s for the driver of the number 19, AZ. A dozen drivers so far have made an appearance out on the Central Arizona Raceway. And Kyle Cummins with the quickest time so far at a 15.922. So the lap times continuing to improve. Mitchell Moles now at a 15.572. Cal Cummins at that 15.922. Saban Bybin at 15.931. AJ Benner at a 15.932. And Hayden Reinbold at a 16.018. Drake York making his way around the racetrack. Let's check in with him for the first time tonight.
And yeah, it's been an interesting night, even though we're just a few sessions in to our dirt track practice here for practice night of the Western World. A guy that I don't think I have a lot of people circled on their list this weekend is AJ Bender. He's had a really good night so far, currently 4th fastest on the speed chart. And if you look back to the weekend he ran with the Avante Windows and Doors USAC Sierra Sprint Car Series here at Central Arizona Raceway earlier in the season, he was in the top 10 both nights, including a podium run on the first night. And AJ Bender, of course, the San Diego, California driver, has a lot of experience in a lot of different types of race cars, but mostly known for his exploits here in non-wing sprint cars. Has a win with the Avante Windows and Doors USAC Sierra Sprint Car Series in his career. Former Rookie of the Year with the Avante Windows and Doors USAC Western States Midgets, along with a whole host of lightning sprint wins around California and Arizona throughout his career. He could be a sneaky guy to watch here all weekend, Brian.
On the list, and of course Ricky Thornton Jr. making his USAC National Sprint Car debut. He is a former winner here in sprint car competition. Now, it was more of a, call it like a champ sprint style engine, flat tappet cam, limited head, kind of a quasi-carbureted type setup. But Ricky Thornton does have a sprint car win here in the state of Arizona. Of course, currently 10th fastest right now. As I mentioned, over 20 victories on the season. And a combination of Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, dirt car late models, stock cars, modifieds, even micro wins. And of course, Ricky Thornton a couple of years ago getting very close to picking up the Golden Driller at the Hyper Racing Tulsa Shootout powered by NOS Energy. As we go back to green and drivers quickly making their way up the boards, and one of those drivers has been in competition to the Western World since 1994. Charles Davis Jr. going up to second quick at 15.582. Just since the year 2000, between prelim and championship competition in 410 and 360 competition, Charles Davis Jr. has 45 A-feature starts. So nobody has more experience in the Western World, and nobody has been to more tracks of the Western World than Chargin' Charles. Currently second quick on the racetrack. Mitchell Moles again quickest right now with a 15.572. Logan Calderwood coming around, turning his quickest lap of the night so far to 15.606. Stevie Sussex, the third, coming off of a pretty solid run this past weekend out at Kansas and the Panhandle of Texas at Route 66 Motor Speedway. And the Michael Dutcher Motorsports number 17 GP, currently fourth quick at 15.721.
To make note, J.J. Yaley had a bit of an issue there in that Avante Windows and Doors at number 2. That car made about 1 or 2 passes of the speedway at speed, but suddenly slowed. Now, every time it came past me on the infield, J.J.'s car seemed like it was still running. As a matter of fact, he did about 3 or 4 laps slowly on the inside of the racetrack. So curious to see what the situation is for J.J., and hopefully they'll be able to make it out as we move through our practice program. And next group of cars making their way out onto the Central Arizona Raceway surface. Car coming off at turn number 4 out of Greenfield, Indiana. That Team Arizona, Curb Agajanian Racing, Curb Records, Kodiak Products, Oakcraft DRC with the one-way Chevy. That is C.J. Leary. Of course, the Team Arizona Western World winners in their career.
Drake able to go out and kind of look at the track a little bit. Still early on, it's only about halfway up the racing surface as I look over towards turn number 1. You've had a chance, you're over towards turns 3 and 4. What have you seen out of the track so far down there?
Honestly, Brian, I think it's pretty comparable to what we've been seeing down in turns 1 and 2. It doesn't take a racing expert, so to say, to see how fast this racetrack is. And I've been standing up on this container they got on the inside of the corner. Really cool spot to really view the whole racetrack. And as you said, Brian, kind of 1 and 2 up in the middle. More or less, I would say 3 and 4 is a little bit further down the racetrack, but you're still carrying a lot of speed through there.
You know, it was interesting. Earlier today, they posted an aerial shot of the Central Arizona Raceway, and there was debate in the comments saying, well, that's not Central Arizona Raceway, but if you haven't been here in a few years, it doesn't look like the Central Arizona Raceway of old. All the billboards, the wall, everything, that is a recent addition to this racetrack.
Absolutely, Brian, Brad Whitfield, Jerry Pettit, they've all done a wonderful job. And I remember for many years watching USAC Southwestern races here where there was just nothing out there. It's just kind of the dark abyss when you'd watch a feature event here. And based off what people have told me that have been coming to this racetrack for a very long time, not even the same place too. And I know Jerry and Brad, they have a lot more additions they want to make to this place as the years go on, and especially bringing the Western World Championships here, not only with the USAC National Sprint Car Championship and the Avante Windows and Doors USAC CRA Sprint Car Series, but also bringing the San Chevrolet non-wing 360s in here too. I know that's a big deal for everybody.
You know, and seeing the Avante Windows and Doors CRA Series coming in here, you know, the West Coast division of the United States Auto Club, they've put on some barn burner events out here. And one of the drivers you definitely want to keep your eye on, that is the driver leading those points, and that, of course, is R.J. Johnson.
Absolutely, R.J. Johnson hasn't been in the driver's seat for most of the season when it comes to the Avante Windows and Doors USAC CRA Sprint Car Series Championship. But boy, after the Louis Vermeil Classic at Calistoga, he's had a lot of speed. And, of course, Ricky didn't have the weekend he was hoping for, so that helped him out as well. But he's able to sustain it for the last couple of races with that series.
So back under green flag conditions, we'll see just how much the track progresses and changes here. Getting a look over into turn number 2, Jake Swanson at speed right now. Of course, the most recent winner with the USAC Amsoil Sprint Car National Championship. That $10,000 score coming at Route 66 Motor Speedway for the first time as an owner and driver. Boy, Drake, unfortunately, we may have just saw some heartbreak on C.J. Leary. A huge puff of smoke followed by a fireball on that Team Arizona car. Bagagini number 21 AZ slowing down to the bottom side of turn number 4. That happened right in front of us over here in turns 1 and 2, but it sounded like the engine was actually still running for a bit down the back straightaway.
You're absolutely right, Brian, and got some great video on FloRacing. Rich Foreman, our USAC photographer, got a great picture that he just showed us down here, and man, that thing was the definition of a grenade. But Brian, you made a fantastic point. It sounded like it was running, so that has me really questioning what it could be on C.J. Leary's race car. Obviously, we're hoping for the best, and that's not a motor down to start the weekend.
Yeah, that would be a tough way to end out the season, as we'll have cars starting to cycle in and cycle off. Logan Seavey making his way out here in that Mountain Mechanical Contractors. Abacus Racing number 57. He's a driver. He's had some success in Western World competition.
He did at Arizona Speedway back in 2022. Of course, still then it was a event with the USAC National Sprint Car Championship. I know Logan Seavey really admires that win. But the thing was, that was with the Baldwin Fox machine too. So Logan's still searching for his first win in the Western World with Abacus Racing, who they have accomplished so much with. As we're getting a look at CJ Leary, at least Brian Holber and I getting a look at CJ Leary's car for turn number 2. Brian, did you see anything?
There is a ton of oil down the left side of that car. I could not see where he had ordered the windows and got the wrong order. So hopefully that is not the case and they're able to go back, get reassessed, and get back on the racetrack. Cole Wakeham on track in the 73 as well. Briggs Danner, one of our rookies in this year's event. Brent Sexton was out on track in the 44. Wayne Seidel's been out already. Dayton Shelton in the 4D. Matt Westfall, one of the drivers. I'm kind of surprised to see him on the entry list here. The Ohio racer, picking up a couple of wins with the Midwest 410 Series back in Indiana over the last couple of weeks.
Just coming off a big win at Montpelier as well, too. Won not only that race just a few weeks ago, but won a race before that as well, too. So Matt kind of had the keys to Montpelier here this season. Was at Montpelier, funny enough, Brian, to watch him win that last one. And it was a bit of a Matt Westfall masterclass. He's been good, too. And this 11C group, he's had experience with
So a Matt Westfall masterclass around the bottom, patient, and just put it to him?
No.
Oh, the opposite.
It was on the top. That's kind of why I said a tongue-in-cheek Matt Westfall masterclass. But him and that 11C group, Brian, over the last few years, they've come out to California when things aren't going on in the Midwest, and they've had some speed. I remember there was a time, I think it might have been last year, Matt ran the first few races with USAC CRA. It was actually 4th in points after the first 5 races. I gave him a really hard time about skipping out on the championship race, but he was coming out to run with us, so it was all good.
Back behind the wheel, that number 11C. Stock and back on track in the Moose Racing number 92. Of course, a former winner of the Western World. Looking at the tracks this event has gone to, of course, started at the Manzanita Speedway. Unfortunately, that track taken away from us. It is headed to Arizona Speedway. Unfortunately, that track has gone. Canyon, that track has gone. Cocopah, that track has gone. Mojave Valley last year, and now for the first time here at Central Arizona Raceway as the cars go back to green. So cars under caution here. We're going to get a word with one of our USAC officials. He is the artist formerly known as Tyler Ramsbottom. He goes by Rizzy these days, and he's the one that checks all the cars, and he's also a very accomplished crew chief. Rizzy, you're looking at these cars, and just kind of put your crew chief hat on for a second. You're looking at a guy like Briggs Danner here for the first time, looking at the car, looking at how he's driving. You go back to the car. What are you telling him?
Butterfly's got to stay vertical. You want to go any quicker? No, telling them it's different. You know, it looks like 1 and 2. You kind of driving it real hard, and then a lot of guys are kind of backpedaling a little bit, kind of off throttle through 1 and 2. So I think that'd be kind of hard to throw a slide there in 1. So 3 and 4 is kind of looking where you're trying to be. And yeah, I mean, definitely you got to run it really hard. It seems like all the guys that are out here, like, you run it into 1 really hard. So that's what I would tell them. Chances are you're probably not running it in hard enough to where you have to be for racing and whatnot. So I just tell them butterflies got to stay vertical.
Always good to have that perspective from Rizzy, because not only is he fantastic as a tech inspector and going through and checking everything, but his background and his history as a crew chief really gives him insight in what to look for in these cars.
And I always love talking to guys like Rizzy who have that perspective, Brian, and I would agree with everything Rizzy was saying right there. You and I are sitting on the bottom side of turn number 2 taking a look at the racetrack, and Rizzy, I think, gave us a perfect description. They're really backpedaling it down in turn number 3, so that could be a spot where we see a lot of the moves being made here this weekend or in the Western World.
You know, one thing I talked about whenever we're at Amarillo, it is a different type of surface out here in the desert. We're not dealing with that dark clay that we have in the Midwest, that really dense clay. Out here, it's adobe. So you talk about adobe pottery, you go out to this track, you refine the surface, and you can make pottery with this. You have homes that were built for years and years and years, for hundreds of years, that are adobe out here. The walls are about 2.5 feet thick, and that's your insulation. It's cool during the summer, it's warm during the winter, and you still see those types of houses that are still standing out here after hundreds of years. So it's a very different service and a very different way to prep out here. You have to start with the track really, really wet, almost to the point of slime. That way it'll work in and stay there throughout the night.
That's the thing you see commonly out in this region of the country. Of course, Brian, you would know it being from New Mexico, but the few times I've been out to the desert, I'd even consider a place like Paris too, but last year I went to Mojave Valley for the Western World. That place, I mean, you want to talk about a mud bog to start in engine heat. It was very tricky just to idle around the racetrack, but once you know it, come hot laps, come qualifying, heat races, feature event, it didn't matter. It was always really good. Kokopah was the same way for so many years too, Brian. So there's a lot of examples of racetracks you could go off of that you kind of have to have that mentality when it comes to track prep.
Definitely so. As the caution lights will go dark, we'll go back to green. So the pitch has changed a little bit. That means we are to the San Chevrolet Wild West 360 Sprint cars. And right now, Briggs Danner on the 410 side turned a 15.174. And the 360's on track right now, Dason Persley, a 15.844. So the nice thing when you don't have the wing on top, Definitely a little slower, but not as much as you would think. And it's really a thing of beauty. We moved over here to the bottom side of turn number 3 to get that perspective, how they arc the back straightaway and just back that thing into the third turn.
Brian, I've held this opinion for many, many years. There is nothing cooler than an on-wing sprint car on a big, fast racetrack like we have here at Central Arizona Raceway. And we were talking to Rizzy about how we kind of need to back up turn number 3. Well, we're standing here, like you said, on the bottom side of the corner. You really start to see that. And you talked about the difference between the 360 and 410. Brian, I'm just a sprint car guy. Sprint cars are fun, in my opinion.
That's the mentality I have. I don't care. I really don't care what it is, as long as it goes ud-nudden. We got a guy in front of us right here. This is Jason Rominger. He is a former competition director was the ASCS Southwest Canyon region. He's a photographer. He's a flagman. And you're getting a track to look at this. We had Rizzy put his crew chief hat on. We're having you put your director hat on. You're looking at this. What are you telling these drivers to do to kind of get the track a little better?
Probably rolling the top a little bit just to widen it out for the rest of the night. Down in 1 and 2, it's kind of building a cushion on the entry, middle. So probably just roll down the cushion so it just goes up to the fence.
You've seen this track over the years. Before it had the wall and now, it's an amazing difference when you have something for that clay to get up and actually build on.
Yeah, it's a lot racier now without the wall. And you don't have the cautions with cars going over the corners now. Now they have to drive with their head. There's a wall there. So it's been racy all year here with the 360s. It's been a good year with the wall.
So definitely looking forward to it. Thank you for talking to us for a second, Jason. He's done just about everything down here, I think, except flip burgers, but he might have done that too. Caution lights going dark. The car's going to wind back up here. Stevie Sussex, Brian Ledbetter Jr., Caleb Stelzick, Grant Sexton, Brady Bacon, and Brody Wake. Drivers making their way to the speedway now. Checker flag flies on your San Chevrolet Wild West 360 sprint cars. Don't forget, tomorrow and Saturday, live on FloRacing if you can't be out here. Cars on track at 5 o'clock tomorrow and Saturday. Racing set to get underway at 6. We have the Casa Grande High School Marching Band. They're going to be out here for opening ceremonies tomorrow. Looking forward to a great time. We'll have the absolutely fantastic opening ceremonies, driver inductions, everything going on Saturday. We encourage you to make your way out if you are within driving distance. If you're within flying distance, you better be getting last-minute tickets.
Hey, I would back that up 1,000%. Also, Brian, I'm really excited about our pre-race show tomorrow. I remember when I was growing up, NASCAR race day was cool because you had the crowd involvement. Well, guess what? We're going to have that at a sprint car race, not only tomorrow, but Saturday as well. Really excited to do that in the Manzanita Pavilion, no less.
Yeah, we'll also have a post-race show. Once we get into the front straightaway, we'll actually bring both of our main event winners down there and just kind of have a conversation with them, talk about the race night. Looking forward to having some guests on tomorrow. It'll be about, 20, 25 minutes or so before we actually get cars on track. So that's something to look forward to. Of course, we'll try to have, our defending champion down there, driver who's won 5 times in Western World's competition, Brady Bacon. We'll try to hear from Jerry Petty and, of course, Brad Whitfield, the promoter out here. But on Facebook Live, we're going to wrap it up for the night. We look forward to seeing you here tomorrow for night number 1 of the Western World.